Hello, everybody. Welcome to Art and Outdoor Life here with John. So, this is what we're going to be painting with just a few colors. It's fun to do. So, start out with I bought one of these empty travel palettes last year, and they have the full wells in them. So you can fill them if you want to, or you could buy wells that will fit in there, whether they be half or full wells. So I started the sky out here with cerulean blue, and I'm bringing it all the way down, a little bit more heavy on top, and a little bit heavy on the bottom, because the blue is going to be kind of a big part of these colors. Okay, so now here I'm using some Prussian blue. You can use an ultramarine blue if you want to. You can use any kind of brown if you want to. You don't have to put mountains in here if you don't want to. But I was thinking about, if you know me, I love to go fishing. I love to go camping and stuff like that. So what I'm doing here is the center I'm leaving as is going to be the lake, or it could be a pond, right? It could be your pond. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a cabin in here. We're going to make the sky just a little interesting. We're going to put some reflections in here and some colorful foliage. So I'm using sap green by itself. I like to mix on the paper. Right there is just paper towel is where I'm dabbing my brush on. You can use a washcloth or anything, even a t-shirt, an old t-shirt or something like that. So this here is yellow ochre, and basically that's going to be my structure, okay? And I'm just kind of playing around here, going back and forth. And pretty soon I'm going to have to get me a few new hake brushes. I've heard that they last for years. But you got to maintain them and stuff. I love these hake brushes. They're made out of real goat hair, so they're not synthetic. Anyways, by the way, the paper that I'm painting on is just from your local, your local Walmart. There's, I believe, 300 sheets on this pad, and I love it. It's a little bit bigger than 9 by 12. So with a fan brush, I'm like, okay, let's get this going here. So I'm using burnt umber. Okay, not raw umber. I'm using burnt umber here. And now I'm just kind of getting a feel, kind of sketching out this lake or pond or whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to go over these colors. When I'm doing landscapes more and more, I'm really liking to mix the blue with the brown, with a little bit of yellow, or even a little like a burnt sienna, a little bit of red. and even yellow ochre, those mixtures really work out nice. So I'm just barely swiping the paper here, kind of dabbing it here and there just to touch it up. I'm kind of pat drying it and kind of lifting up some of the paint as well. I don't want globs of paint sitting around, and I just kind of, I'm not using a hair blower. I am using a little bit of white in here. It's not gouache, it's just regular white. So I figured, yeah, like, okay. So the sun is coming up, right? And like when the sun is coming up, you see the moon. You still see the moon sometimes as the moon is fading away. So, and I was like, okay, well, I got very little white there, just very little. You can use your finger, you can use, a little piece of a paper towel to make, get a moon in there. So here, I'm going over to yellow ochre, again, with some burnt umber, and I'm sketching out my cabin here. Okay, a cabin on the lake, or a pond. You see how I kind of went over that yellow ochre there. I love those colors. You know, and I'm not, you know, I'm not really good at drawing things. So if you want to leave out the cabin, go ahead. Or, you could put anything in there. You could put a camper in there. You could put a tent in there. You don't have to put anything in there. I was just in the mood to paint. And like I do, I record my paintings and I put them here. Hoping to inspire somebody, and to give ideas. Okay, so with the access, I'm just kind of filling in some of the areas around the cabin with the access. It's a round brush, fairly small round brush. And there I am. That's what I'm using the paper towel for, just to kind of get some of the water and a little bit of the paint off. I do have 2 cups of water on the side, by the way. So then I'm taking over here my fan brush, and I'm mixing in some dark blues with some brown and some burnt sienna and a little bit of sap green in here, and even a touch of yellow in here. Because I don't want the trees to be like bright green, but I don't want them to be blue, So, and, painting is all about, for me, it's not about being, getting every color right or anything. It's about enjoying the process, right? But you still want it to look nice. And my fan brush that I'm using is fairly large. So I'm like having to go over using the corners of this fan brush. And the further away the trees, the smaller you want them. And I'm just kind of going back and forth, just kind of setting up a scene. And then I'm like, okay, well, we'll put a little bit of a foliage, some grass and brush in the back there, and we'll just kind of follow along. Wherever it's going to take me, wherever your mind takes you, go with it. Go with it. Because, we're having fun. I mean, we're enjoying our moment, right? We're enjoying the moment, and we're creating something, So I'm bringing down some of that down here, whatever's left on the fan brush. Fan brushes do not hold much water unless you really douse it, but they don't. They will hold a lot of paint, but not much water. So I just kind of went around the lake with that color, that mixture of color there. And so I'm like, okay, let's put some reflection into this lake, right? Now you can see I'm using the same color. The only thing I did, the same color mix. The only thing I did was I put some water on the fan brush. And so with a paper towel, I'll just kind of swoop it across gently. And we still have some of that reflection in there. I love reflections. I do. And then what I was doing here was I grabbed a little bit of white again, and I was thinking about, okay, well, maybe let's make maybe let's put a river or a creek coming into this lake, right? So, and then over here, I'm thinking, okay, we'll split up the bottom and kind of make that look like a little bit of reflection, stuff like that. And you'll see how this works out, how we change things, how I change things and such. But this is pretty much about, like I said, it's very little white in here that I'm using. And then I was, about a month or two ago, I was in the fog. Okay. Like I said, this is a morning scene. Okay. So then I was like, you know what I can do with that white? Just a little bit of white. I can come across these trees. Just gently come across them. And let's create like some fog coming up in the morning. Right? I mean, it's a good day when you wake up in the morning and you got coffee going on and you look outside and you see the fog coming up and you see just a glimpse of the moon is still in the air and it's about to disappear. And so I was getting excited about this. In the meantime, if you notice, my mountains disappeared. And that's okay. It didn't have to be mountains in there. But you can, you could put whatever you want in there. So I'm just tapping along here, just putting a tree line in the back, and then I'm bringing some up front, using a little bit of green, blue, sap green, dark blue mix, and with just a touch of yellow ochre, because not the way when I show up at lakes and stuff, they're not all blue. Water is funny. So here's some yellow ochre. And I'm like, okay, put some yellow ochre in here. Now we'll start getting to some flavor, right? We'll put a little flavor in here. We'll change it up with a little bit of color here and there. And now it's going to become more of a mix and match kind of situation. By the way, if you're looking at this cabin here, and you're looking at that white spot on the left of that cabin, if you don't know, that's actually supposed to be a porch. Like where you come out of the cabin and the cabin's facing to your left, so it has an overhang. Okay, so I put a little bit more, this time I put direct sap green on here. And I wanted some of that to cover up, part of the bottom of the cabin. And just kind of letting the brush, do its thing. And with the brush strokes and that. And the further away, I kind of, I want it small to give it distance. Okay, so I'm putting in a little bit of burnt umber and a little bit of raw sienna to mix with this grass and brush, because I want it to be in the woods, in the forest. I don't want it to be like at a campground, for example. And so I just kind of playing around with it here. It's going here and there. And just being really gentle with the brush. Putting a little bit of burnt sienna in there. And that. Trying to go around the cabin to get rid of some of that light. And then with the rest of it, I'm like, okay, well, I'll let, the tip of the brush just give it some leaf effects in the back. And yeah, when you're doing these things, you'll drop your paper towel sometimes. You do, these things happen. So I'm looking at this, and, when I paint, I like to imagine myself like I'm there, like in my mind. So I went ahead with some white, and I was like, okay, now we're going to make this moon a little bit noticeable. And then we're going to put a little, just some ripples along the side, just a little bit here and there. And, it also helps when you want to get reflection. Like I cut off the bottom part of that brush up on the middle left-hand side, just to kind of give it some reflection, to draw the line, so to speak. And so, and then here, this is some raw sienna. I didn't, I don't normally, this is off the fly. I normally don't put structures in my paintings. Not yet, anyways. When I'm doing oil paintings, I do. But, watercolor in one take, it's different. When you're doing oil, you can let it dry. You could do the same with watercolor too. But, you just have to let it dry. So I put a little bit of yellow ochre here. just to kind of give it a little impression of maybe there's a window or not. And then I want to fill in the gap right there through the porch. So just kind of fill it in a little bit. If you've never seen any of my paintings, please consider liking and subscribing. I don't make any money off these. There's a few reasons why I paint. You can look at the description on my channel. And, and like here I am, I'm just putting in little rocks here. Just a little piece of a card. Just to kind of give it some texture and stuff. And then I was like, I love playing with cards. And I was like, well, maybe make a path coming out like this way. I didn't have to, but I was just like, why not? What's it gonna hurt? I mean, when the painting dries, I can go over it again if I want to, But if you enjoy my videos and if you know anybody who suffers from, is dealing with depression or anxiety, you might want to bring it up to them and they might enjoy watercolor painting. It is relaxing. It is, it's a solitude moment. You could buy little pads and you could buy big pads of paper. And all you need is a few brushes, paper, and a thing of water. And just a few things. It's not very expensive. Unless you do it every day. And depending on how much you want to spend. But, I want to thank you for viewing, and so you can use a paintbrush or you can use some kind of a pen, put in a few birds there, and then I'll just kind of outline a little bit here for the shoreline. Wishing you a wonderful day. Sincerely yours, John.